What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Final Whistle podcast. We're back for another week, Nate. How was your weekend?
My week was pretty good. I just watched some football. Nothing really, not a whole lot going on. Went to a cattle sale Sunday. That was fun.
Did you buy any cattle?
I did not. No, I did not buy anything. Just went over to watch. Had an excellent ribeye steak sandwich for lunch, and just went over and watched and just enjoyed my Sunday that way. Well, I was able to get home and watch a little bit of football Sunday evening, but nothing too major this weekend. Just kind of hung out and did stuff like that.
Nice.
How about you?
It wasn't too bad. Just like you, kind of watched football all week. Watched the Kemper game and the high school, and watched a couple of college games on Saturday and the pros on Sunday. So all levels pretty much this weekend. But yeah, without further ado, let's head right into Nate's Greats. Nate, what do you have for us?
All right, Nate's Greats, brought to you by, as always, Just Toast, the toasting experts.
Best toast in the country.
This week at number 5, I have the Eagles versus the Lions, and it was a good game Sunday night. I feel like the game was close for the most part of that. The Eagles ended up pulling that away a little bit, and it was the game that everybody wanted, I think, last year, but never happened in the playoffs because the Lions got beat by Washington, and it just kind of gave the Eagles a more clear path into the Super Bowl last year. So we had to wait a little bit, but this year we got it. And right now I think the Eagles look pretty good. Their defense is starting to really, hold together. And the Lions just didn't have a whole lot of answers offensively of what to do against the Eagles defense. And Jared Goff goes for 255 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jahmyr Gibbs had an okay game. Nothing great. Montgomery didn't have a great game. So I think the Eagles defense was giving them fits for most of that game. And right now the Eagles, it's tough. I think they're still the 1 seed right now in the NFC, but they're going to have some competition. But I don't know if Detroit's going to be able to give them the competition like they did last year.
Yeah, I don't know. The Lions just don't look how they did last year. They don't look as confident, I'll say.
And they look really good at home, and then away they're like just a different team. They don't play near as good.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. They get off to slow starts, or they start off with a bang and then just nothing after that. Gibbs is playing pretty solid. Jared Goff's a good quarterback. I don't know if it's because they lost their offensive coordinator from last year. He went to the Jets, Aaron Glenn, or if it's whatever it is. And I saw Dan Campbell was also making play calls this game. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if they don't have confidence in their offensive coordinator or what's going on.
And I feel like when you lose 2 coordinators, those guys are obviously 2 head coaches for a reason now.
Yeah.
They were pretty good. So losing those 2 guys definitely isn't easy. The Eagles went through that, actually, a few years back when Shane Steichen, their offensive coordinator, went to the Colts. Jonathan Gannon, defensive coordinator, went to the Cardinals. And they really struggled for a few years after that. And definitely the year after that, they really struggled in finding, 2 coordinators to come back and, help get that offense and that defense back to where they were. So I think the Lions, it might take a little time to find, those coordinators that they're exactly looking for to get back, to what they're looking for.
Yeah, we'll hopefully see in this last 6 weeks stretch to see if they keep performing or, if they're just kind of a bust team this year. They're still a really good team, don't get me wrong, but they've looked really inconsistent this year so far.
Yeah.
On the flip side, the Eagles, their offense looks a little bit better. They're involving A.J. Brown a lot more now. at least just with this last game. We'll see in the future, but and I've noticed this year a lot of teams have been able to shut down Saquon a little bit more. I don't know if that's because they view him as more of a threat now compared to last season, since it was his first year with the Eagles last season, but he just has not been,
like 100-yard rushing game this year.
Yeah, he hasn't been performing at all. So I don't know what the deal is. I think defenses are kind of keying in on him a little bit more this year, and they're using him a lot. I mean, he's getting a lot of carries a game, but it's just not transitioning into, they're not moving the sticks as much with him.
Yeah, I agree. So at number 4, I had Oklahoma, Alabama. Really good game again, and a game that I think a lot of people thought Alabama was going to win, just because last year these two played and Oklahoma beat Alabama, and that was one of Oklahoma's only one of 2 wins last year in the SEC, and it did not look good on Alabama losing that game last year. And so I think a lot of people had this as Alabama, should be fairly easy for them to get this one. They're at home, and they don't. Oklahoma gets them again for the second year in a row, and Oklahoma now is really going to make the college football playoffs interesting, because I would think they would have to be in at this point.
Yeah, hopefully.
And so, they're a 2-loss team. I still think Alabama's in, but now you're pushing the SEC to like a 6-team bid league, which is insane, which is going to push someone like the Big 12 to a 1-bid league. And because you're going to have Oklahoma in, you're going to have Alabama in, you're going to have Georgia in, and so there's 3 of them. Texas is going to make a point that if you have Texas A&M in, and Texas A&M and Texas still have to play, and so Texas is going to make a point. If they were able to beat Texas A&M, how are you going to leave Texas out? And Texas also has 2 really good wins this year over top 10 teams in the country. Oklahoma's one of them. And so can a 3-loss Texas team get in then at that point? And you're also going to have teams like Tennessee and Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I think, will be in. And Tennessee with 3 losses, those teams are going to start to say, hey, we have better losses than other teams in the country. Is what this is going to come down to. And unfortunately, that's the way it is, it's not who did you beat, it's, well, who did you lose against?
Yeah.
And so I think at that point, the committee is going to take a 3-loss Texas team over a 1 or a 2-loss BYU or Utah team.
Most likely, yeah. That is probably going to be the case.
And I feel like BYU and or Utah, especially Utah, I think should be in the playoffs, because I think they could beat somebody. I mean, I feel like they could beat somebody in the playoffs.
I think they could too.
And I think BYU could too. Maybe not as much as I do in Utah, but I think either one of those 2 teams could, potentially beat somebody and or make, a little bit of a run in the playoffs. I definitely think Texas Tech's going to surprise some people in the playoffs. I really hope they do anyway. But I think they're going to. That team's super talented. A lot of talent on that roster. If they were in the SEC, they would be talked about a lot more than what they are. But yeah, just it's making the playoff, more interesting with Oklahoma, beating Alabama now. And so that'll be something to watch as we keep getting closer to the end of the year here, these next couple of weeks, and as they come to a decision on who's in the playoffs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Like you said, Utah, in my opinion, Utah is a very slept-on team, even in the Big 12 right now. Their offense is very explosive, and their defense is pretty good. They score a lot of points. They just beat the brakes off of Baylor. And I think they could win at least one game in the college football playoffs. In my opinion, they've been looking better than Texas has. And Texas just lost again to Georgia and that wasn't a pretty loss. So I don't know. We'll see. The SEC is always going to get favored a little bit more than like the Big 12. So it's sad to see, but I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah, I agree. And the SEC and the Big Ten are just so like relevant and control a lot of these things, with money and power. And so they're going to get the nod over teams like the ACC and the Big 12. So, and what's left of, a Pac-12 and everything else. So we'll see what happens with all that, but Oklahoma's just going to make it interesting. So at number 3, I have USC and Iowa. And Iowa played this thing really good. They really came out guns a-blazing. Their offense was unstoppable. They were running the Philly special in Southern California, and they had it all going. And
but
then
it wasn't
USC
enough.
Scored 19 points unanswered and won the game at the end of that, and just kind of left Iowa, with a really frustrating loss. And once again, they don't change the narrative that they can beat a good team. And now everybody's saying, you're 6-4, your record's not great, and you beat up on a really bad Wisconsin team. You beat up on a really bad Minnesota team. Well, not really bad, but not great, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so you beat up on Minnesota, and then you beat up on Penn State, but when it comes to teams like Indiana and Oregon and USC and Iowa State this year, you don't beat them. They're ranked. And so it's just, and it sucks for Iowa fans because they can't change that narrative now for another season. Because the last 2 games are, pretty much irrelevant as far as that goes. Neither one of those teams is going to be ranked. You're going to have Michigan State, which you'll probably beat up on, and Nebraska, which I think will be a good game just because it usually is. I think Iowa is the better team. Is probably a much better team than Nebraska in that
I agree.
game. But it's at Nebraska, and that game usually is always a good game. So we'll see what happens with that game. But, it was raining. It was a monsoon there where they were playing at.
Yeah, it was. They were bringing out squeegees onto the field.
Yeah, and they were trying to leaf blow water off of the field and everything. And so, but it looked cool on TV to watch. I'm sure it was absolutely miserable to be there. And that's 2 games in a row now where Iowa's had to play in the pouring rain and have lost both games.
Yeah, just rain is not their day.
Yeah.
Any time it's raining,
they both ended in rainy days for Iowa fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you said, they didn't change the narrative. They're still a solid team. They just can't get it done against the better teams, I'll say. The ranked teams, they got close against USC. The first quarter of that game, I was like, oh, they actually have a real shot here. And then, USC coming back, scoring 19 unanswered. It was just...
I think most people, when they got up 21-7, they were like, oh, yeah, these guys, shouldn't have a problem with this. And in those type of conditions, is USC going to be able to make a comeback like that? And Iowa's offense just kind of switched. Their play calling and everything just kind of went from, let's go win this game to let's not lose this game.
Yeah. I feel like once USC started to pick up the pace a little bit more, they kind of got a little bit, not scared, but just a little bit frantic. They didn't know what to do. And I think, honestly, once they went up 21-7, I don't know if just a part of them was just like, okay, let's try to coast this game down a little bit.
I think that's what they were going to try to do.
And, but it was only, second quarter? First half? You can't let up that... You can't let up that early in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good overall game to watch. It's just, for Iowa fans, it's a little saddening because that's your back-to-back losses against close games against ranked opponents.
Yeah, against two good teams, and it sucks too for them because Mark Gronowski, he's now, done. The big games are in the rearview mirror, and his kind of experiment is over.
Yeah.
So now you're looking to a new quarterback next year, which I know a lot of Iowa fans are nervous about. Who is going to be our quarterback next year? Whether it's Hank Brown or Hecklinski, and there's been some people out there saying that they should that they should bench Mark Gronowski the last two games and put either of those two guys in and play them and get ready for the future, get ready for next year. But at the same time, I say with the transfer portal and everything, you don't even know who you're going to have next year. Those two guys might not even be there next year.
Yeah.
Either way, you don't play them, and they're like, well, I'm not getting any playing time here, I'm leaving. Or if you play them and they put some really good film on tape, what is the chances? Well, I mean, what's not to say that they don't get an offer from a college team with more money to go play somewhere else if they put up some decent film on the tape in those last two games.
It's very true.
So I think you got to stick with Gronowski. I think he's earned it at this point. And, yeah, I think you got to stick with him.
Yeah, I mean, might as well just try to finish out the season as strong as you can. Hopefully, you just got to hope you get something decent next year, someone decent. I know they haven't really had very good luck with quarterbacks in the past, but, Gronowski was probably their best one in recent history so far. So, yeah, they need to get something in the transfer portal or recruiting-wise, just find their next guy.
Yep. And I think Iowa fans are really going to want them to go out shopping again.
Yeah.
Like they did with Gronowski, and find another quarterback. And maybe they will, and maybe they won't. Maybe they like one of those two guys, that's still sitting there, and one of those two guys doesn't leave, or maybe they both stick around next year, and, they ride with one of those guys. So you never know.
Yeah.
So, all right. At number 2, I have the Chiefs versus the Broncos. A game that was really good. It was a field goal kicking contest for a long time. Only one touchdown in this game. And, well, there was a few touchdowns in this game, but
I think there was only one passing touchdown.
Yeah, one passing touchdown. Bo Nix does not throw for a touchdown. He was 24-37 for 295 yards, but he still did what he needed to do to get the win. And the Chiefs, I think, are really starting to get into trouble.
Yeah, I think they're starting to panic a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think they're out of it yet because you just can't say that. You can't count them out. Like, if somebody asked you right now, will the Chiefs make the playoffs, what would your response be?
I would say I'm not sure. I don't know.
I mean, to this point, I would say yes. I think they will make the playoffs because I think you're dumb to say no. Because usually Patrick Mahomes is going to make you eat your words.
Yeah, usually.
If the playoffs started today, they would be out of the playoffs, which is, quite, shocking, being that Patrick Mahomes has been in the AFC Championship game, like, what is it, every year that he's been there?
Yeah,
or all but
close
one,
to.
All but 1 year, I think, or something like that.
Other than like his rookie year, I think, or something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah,
since he hasn't.
And then maybe now you're talking about them maybe missing the playoffs. Like, that's a sudden change.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think a lot of people are starting to catch on to what the Chiefs are doing. And it doesn't help. They don't really have a great running game, like, at all.
They don't, no.
I mean, Kareem Hunt's there, but he has 13 carries for 59 yards and 1 touchdown. I'm assuming Pacheco was hurt again. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming he was because he has nothing. He did not play. And, yeah, I think that also the Broncos' defense is really good. They have been all year. And so I just think it was a perfect storm for Kansas City. I know you had it in your triple threat you had said, you were thinking the Broncos were going to beat them.
Yeah.
I think a few people were thinking the same thing. And, and they got them. They got the Chiefs coming off of a bye week, which was really surprising, too, because usually the Chiefs coming off of a bye week are really hard to beat.
Yeah, because they're nice and a little bit fresher. And
they have more time to plan for you. And they didn't look great. They didn't do what they needed to do.
No, they didn't. And it wasn't just the run game. I mean, Mahomes, some of his passes just weren't falling. He threw a really bad pass that ended up in a pick, but was later called back from a penalty. And then he threw another one, like a few downs after that. So it just, he didn't look the greatest. And, obviously it's not all on him, but just usually if your quarterback's off, your whole offense is off. So I don't know what they need to do. They've been running with Rice a lot more, I noticed, since Kareem Hunt has been doing great. And even when Pacheco is healthy, he isn't super great either. He's not very
productive. Kareem Hunt's like 40 years old. What do you want the guy to do?
I know. He's doing all he can for his age.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely, age is not on his side anymore. And one thing I will say that's getting kind of annoying is Patrick Mahomes, every time somebody puts a hand on him, he turns around and looks at the ref and wants a flag. He, puts his hands in the air.
He does.
I saw him do it a few times the other day. They literally, the Broncos player, Mahomes was running towards the sideline with the ball in his hand, still looking, extend the play. He was looking downfield to pass it, and he throws it away, the last second. Throws it, sails it out of bounds, and the Broncos player is making a beeline towards him at this point.
Yeah.
He lets go of that right as the Broncos player puts his hands on him and shoves him out of bounds. And Mahomes turns around, looks at the ref and puts his hands in the air he wants a flag. He's doing the gesture pulling the flag out of your pocket towards the ref. And it's dude, come on. That, dang well that should not be a penalty. And he wants it all the time.
And I think the biggest thing is in previous games, in the past few seasons, he's been getting those calls. So I think now that he's not getting them, he's a little frustrated. But at the same time, it's football. You're going to get hit. I don't know if you watched a little bit of the Buccaneers and Bills game, but Baker Mayfield was getting his ass hit all over the place, and he was just getting up, moving on to the next play. But it seems like every time Mahomes got sacked or anything like that, he'd always look up, get upset at somebody else, and expecting a penalty. And it's just not – he's a great quarterback, but it's just something you don't want to see out of really anybody.
Yeah, that's how you become not a very liked guy.
Yeah.
Is when you're always whining and stuff like that. It's what a lot of people always say when you bring up, Tom Brady, is that he was a whiner and everything. So you just don't want to follow, necessarily in those footsteps. But yeah, I don't know. It's just getting kind of annoying, and they've pointed it out on the broadcast multiple times. Troy Aikman is the biggest one that points him out on it.
Yeah,
and it's that's ridiculous, or that shouldn't be a flag, stuff like that. So, which is cool to see, a Super Bowl winning quarterback point out another quarterback and be like, "Hey, come on."
Well, yeah, that wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and you see that in every sport, though. I mean, you see that in basketball too. Players constantly complaining to get fouls. But the thing is, though, is no matter how much you complain, it's not like they're just going to be like, "Oh yeah, that was," and then call a foul.
Well, and I think when you complain, you're hoping the ref maybe pays attention to it a little more next time.
Yeah.
But in that certain play, they're not going to call that flag either way.
Yeah, it's just something you don't want to see in the sport.
Yeah. So, good win by the Broncos. Chiefs are they third or are they last in their division?
They're third in their division.
They're third in their division. I think they're in 7th place right now to make it into the playoffs. 7th or 8th place to make it into the playoffs. They're not in right now, so that would be quite, shocking if they did not make it.
It would be very shocking.
But at this point, it could happen.
It could.
I'm still going to say it's not going to happen, but it could happen.
I don't think they'll win their division, but they could get second. I don't think they're going
to win their division either because the Broncos are already 9-2.
Yeah, and I mean the Chargers are 6-4 now. I think after the loss this last week,
and they got annihilated.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that game.
They're 7-4. The Chargers are 7-4.
They're 7-4. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So they're a few games behind them. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But I think it's very. They're not in a very good spot.
Yeah, yep, certainly not. So, all right, at number 1, I had what I thought was the best game of the whole weekend, and that was the Rams versus the Seahawks. And I thought, last week I said on the pod, I think this is going to be a really good game, and it really did turn out to be a good game. And I was right, and I went with the Rams because I just said I trust, Matthew Stafford more than I trust Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold threw for 279 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
And they still almost won that game.
Yeah, and they still almost won. He's got a really good team. It's just, how much do you trust Sam Darnold to go out and get you that win in the big moment? And I don't. And I don't know if a lot of people do. Matthew Stafford only threw for 130 yards. He was 15 of 28 for 130 yards, but 2 touchdowns. And no sacks. Kyren Williams had a pretty good day on the ground. And so I think that either of these two teams can be a major player in the playoffs. I think that, the only thing that's going to come down to it, the Seahawks, is going to be the Sam Darnold thing once again. Is because he hasn't shown in that spot that he can win. He had the opportunity last year with the Vikings. He did not do it. And so, can you do it this year? Can you play a good team in the playoffs and can you win? And he has a good team. He has a lot of players on his team that are really good. Jackson Smith and Jigba, who would have thought that guy this year would be, what he is.
A machine.
He's really good. And he had a horrible game. He had 1 catch for 11 yards.
Yeah.
And, then that's a reason that you lose that game again. You have to find a way to get that guy the ball, and he just wasn't. He just didn't No, I'm sorry. That's a mistake. He had 9 catches for 105 yards. That sounds more like it. Still not a great game by, his standards, and no touchdowns. So you got to find a way to get that guy in the end zone. You got to find a way to get him involved in the game, especially in these big games, and he just wasn't able to. And the Rams, I think, on the other hand, are a real problem this year. I think right now in the NFC, I think they're, just as good as the Eagles. I think they can give the Eagles a true test. Last year in the playoffs, we saw them give the Eagles a true test. They went to Philadelphia, almost won that game. And so, I would really like to see the Rams and the Eagles play again. And, in the postseason, and I think that might happen because I think the Rams are really good.
Yeah, they are. They're, and not just offensively, but defensively, they've been doing a really good job. There's a reason why the Seahawks only were able to kick field goals that entire game, pretty much. And when you got a lot of weapons on that team, and Matthew Stafford, he's a little bit older, but he still gets it done. I think this Rams team looks a little bit more dangerous than last year, in my opinion. Devontae Adams is still really good, even though he's a little bit older. But, we've seen it from time to time this season. He's able to perform still. Puka Nacua, obviously, is a just monster. And then Kyren Williams is a really good running back. So you have a lot of weapons there to use. You have a pretty damn good offensive line. You just have a good all-around team. And, I would say if anybody is going to give the Eagles some issues in the postseason, it would be the Rams. And Matthew Stafford plays well in the playoffs usually. So
well, and this year when they played, if you go back to week 3, the Rams and the Eagles played each other, and that was like that crazy inning game where the Eagles blocked the field goal and returned it for a touchdown to win the game.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
Yep.
And not to win the game, but to cover the points or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Rams were going to win that game. They were going to kick the game-winning field goal and win that game, and they would only have 1 loss right now in the NFL. So hopefully we'd see that matchup again this year. I think it's going to be a really good one. Right now, I think it's a 2-headed stake for the NFC, who represents the NFC, and it's between the Eagles and the Rams, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah, they're just both of them are dangerous, and they have just really good weapons, really good defenses. It'll be really nice to see. Really good game to watch, especially if that's in like an NFC Championship game. That'd be one I need to sit down and watch for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So, well, that wraps up Nate's Greats this week. As always, brought to you by Just Toast, the toasting experts.
Best toast in the country.
Yes, it is. So, Joe, what do you got now, Joe? You want to move into some college football?
Yeah, I just have a couple of games I wanted to talk about. Texas A&M, they had a major comeback. They were down 30-3. I believe it was going into the second half against South Carolina, and they ended up winning 31-30 in the end of that.
I don't know how you let that happen.
I don't know.
I don't know how you're up 30-3 and you let that happen.
I don't know how Texas A&M got in that position in the first place.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But I mean, and South Carolina as your defense, you're letting them come back.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how you let that happen from South Carolina's perspective. I don't know how you let somebody come back 27 points and win that game. 27 points unanswered. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, Texas A&M I think they're still undefeated.
Yeah.
They're still one of the only 3 undefeated teams left. And that one got close.
That one was a tester.
That one was a tester. But Texas A&M got it done.
Great resiliency.
Yeah. It shows you they didn't quit.
Yeah, they're there to fight all 4 quarters.
Yeah. A lot of teams probably would have gave up in that instance and been like, okay, well, kick a couple field goals, try to make it a close game. But Texas A&M was like, no, we need to win this. And
yeah. You know how many fans probably went home? Because I was at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
You know how many fans probably went home after at halftime or
probably a ton.
Because wasn't it 30-3 at the half?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, imagine being a fan going home, and then you come back and you're like, or you're watching it or listening to it on the radio. Kind of halfway because you're mad.
Yeah.
So you don't watch it or listen to it intensely, but you're kind of halfway listening to it, and you're like, wow, I was at that game and I left.
Yeah, that's. I never understood that. If you're paying money for a ticket, unless, there's 3 minutes left and you're for sure going to win, different story. You leave a little early, try to beat traffic. But if it's halftime, at least give it another quarter. At least give it to the fourth quarter. See what it's looking like. And that sucked for a lot of fans, Texas A&M fans, to just leave. And it would suck for me more as a South Carolina fan to be like, oh, we're going to beat Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And then you get beat.
Yeah, that would be a very unfortunate game for that to happen too, especially for a South Carolina fan.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but Texas A&M remains undefeated. It's just Ohio State, Indiana, and them. A lot of red at the top of the
there is
top of the college football playoff.
Yep, there is.
But yeah, we'll see with that. And then next, talked about it a little bit earlier, but Georgia put the beat down on Texas. They won 35-10. And we've talked about it before, but Texas, they were ranked
number 1 preseason.
One preseason, and just I don't even know if they really belong in the top 25.
Yeah, they're not near as good as last year's team.
No.
Not anything like that team last year. And that team last year was kind of suspect too because they almost got beat by Arizona State last year. And so they're not near as good as that team last year was.
I think they're very overhyped. I mean, Arch Manning had an okay game. He threw 27-43, 251 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But their running game is what really killed them. The Texas only had 17 carries for 23 yards.
Yeah.
That's terrible compared to Georgia's 35 carries for 128 yards. So, I think that's where they got killed the most is the run game. But, I don't know. Just Texas does not look like a good team this year.
Yeah, but if they beat Texas A&M at the end of the year and they have 3 losses, they're going to make a push to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, they will. So we'll see what happens with that.
And they beat Oklahoma.
They did. That was a close one when we watched that.
They have some good wins.
They do, but they also have some bad losses.
Right. Well, and they would consider that loss being a good loss.
Well, yeah.
To Georgia.
Yeah, against Georgia, yeah, but I forgot who else they lost to. They had some losses against
They
some
lost
teams
to Ohio State by 7 points in the opener.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's another one that they're going to say on the road. They're going to say, well, that's a good loss.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that, but that's all I really have for college football this week. There wasn't a whole lot to go over.
Yeah, Iowa State was on a bye this week, so nothing from Iowa State this week. Did learn a little bit of information. Gabe Burkle, Iowa State's tight end, will be out the rest of the season. He tore his ACL, so
it's very unfortunate.
Wish him the best of luck. Hope surgery goes well and everything, and hopefully he's back and ready to go next year, and better than ever. So, sending him, good luck vibes, prayers. So, sucks to see him go down, but that's what happens when you play, and he's fully aware of it. So, just come back ready to go for next year. So Iowa State moving in. We're gonna play Kansas this week. Last game at Jack Trice for the season. Last home game. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff, which I think is good. I think if this was a night game, it wouldn't be nearly as full as it's going to be for a mid-morning game. And I think Iowa State will look good again, like it has coming out of the bye week. And because we saw it against Arizona. Iowa State looked really good coming out of the bye week against Arizona. And then we looked really good coming out of the bye week against BYU. That very first play of the game, you remember that was a throwing touchdown, that big touchdown, very first play of the game. We jumped on top of BYU big time. But then Rocco just kind of, went back to some of his bad habits, and that game got away from us as the game went on. But hopefully that won't happen with a team like Kansas. So we'll see what happens, but I truly think Iowa State's, I think Iowa State's going to get this one just because we won at TCU. I know the team can do it. Kansas has had our number for the last how many seasons? I don't think we've beat them now in 4 years.
Probably not. No, I don't think so.
And so, but Kansas this year isn't what Kansas has been previously either. So, and it's senior night. You would like to think you're at home on senior day, senior night.
Last home game of the season.
Yeah, so you would think that they want to get a win for these seniors going out. That's always kind of another edge that gives the team, the edge.
The extra boost.
Yeah, is that when you're playing on senior day at home. So, I don't know. Hopefully Iowa State wins. I think they will. But we'll see what they come out looking like after this bye week.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see, obviously we didn't watch any Iowa State this weekend, so it wasn't as exciting watching college football, but I really hope we come out of this bye week and just make something happen and close out the season on a good note.
Yeah. Yep, I do too.
And wish Gabe a full recovery, healthy recovery, and come back next year better than ever.
Yeah. Yep. I hope he does too.
All right, Nate, you got anything more for some college football?
No, I think we can jump into some college basketball talk here. Brought to you by Nate and Maddie Can Boxes. And we had some people say, that we do great can box work, and, it looks very professional. So if you're needing any can box stuff done, we don't build the can box, all right? Well, we can. It's just more or less you bring, like if you have a wooden can box running, you bring your can box to us. We will paint it and make it look new.
Exactly.
Right? That's what we do. It probably won't happen, though, because Maddie doesn't actually want to do any of this. But,
So it may or may not get done.
Yeah, But, bring it over, or call us anyway. We'll talk about it and see what happens.
Might take a year. Who knows?
Yeah, so. Alrighty, college basketball. Joe, what do you got?
I got a couple of games I want to talk about. Purdue beat Alabama. That was I wouldn't say a shocker, but I know Alabama was, I believe, favored in that game.
It's tough to win on the road in college basketball.
It is. And it was a close game, but Purdue ended up pulling it out. They out-rebounded them 52-28, and they actually converted on those. They, I think they had a lot of offensive rebounds that helped them out, and they scored off those. That's what I think the big thing was. And also 3-point percentage. Alabama shot the amount of threes as Purdue did, and they only made about, I think, 6 or 7 more than they did. So I think the threes, just jacking up threes, killed Alabama. They killed their momentum, and you see that in all levels of basketball. It's just when you get a little bit behind, you start trying to jack up threes and get ahead of the game. But it's just it's not fun to watch when teams start to do that. I understand, the premise of it, but it's just not fun to watch when you just jack up threes if you're not making them.
Right.
And another game I wanted to talk about was UConn had a close one against BYU.
Well, it wasn't close for a lot of the game.
It was not, no. I believe after half, BYU started to make a little bit of a comeback, and they got that game within 2.
Yeah, because UConn really kind of made fun of them that whole game.
Yeah, they did. The first half was not even close. First few minutes were, and then UConn ended up going crazy, and they just they started to pull ahead. And I was a little upset because I had BYU winning in my triple threat.
That would have made you 3-0.
It would have made me 3-0. That would have been 2 weeks 3-0 in a row. That would have been really nice. But can't have your cake and eat it too. BYU had a good game. They were also without one of their starters as well. So that says something about the bench player that filled in for him. That says something about the depth of that team. So I think that's something to be said as well. But yeah, that's all I really have for that game. UConn, I think, also had just better ball movement than BYU. They were moving the ball around a lot more. They were getting everybody involved. Whereas BYU, I think they were just kind of going to the key guys. They looked more
physical.
Yeah, they did. They looked more physical. They looked like they kind of wanted it more a little bit towards the beginning. And then I think BYU started to get a little hungry, and they started to move the ball a little bit better that second half.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I really have to talk about college basketball this week. It was kind of a dry week.
Yeah, it was. Iowa State played against Stonehill last night. Absolutely destroyed. Stonehill, as we expected, did not cover. The over-under was 39.5. We beat them by 39.
Oh, my gosh.
So missed it by a half point. And sets up a big game for next Monday. Iowa State, St. John's in
Las Vegas tournament.
Las Vegas. And as of right now, I just looked it up. As of right now, and I can show it to Joe, that way you know I'm not lying, Iowa State is going to open as a 5.5-point favorite over St. John's in that game. And so, I don't know what to think about that. The ESPN analytics give Iowa State a 67% chance to win that game. So, which really surprises me. I would have thought this game would have been, a lot closer than that. But it'll be really fun to watch. TJ Otzelberger, Rick Pitino. And, should be a really fun game to watch. So
it should be. This will be Iowa State's biggest test of the season so far.
Yeah, and at this point next week, we'll actually have 2 games to talk about because we will have already played Creighton as well. We play Creighton. Well, we play St. John's Monday. We play Creighton on Tuesday. So
that'll be a tough back-to-back.
Yeah, that will be. And which Creighton right now does not look good.
No, they don't.
Right now. And so we'll see what happens with that. I know what happened in the exhibition game. Iowa State got totally annihilated by them, but it's a much different story when you get to the regular season. So
Exactly.
some fun things. Next week in basketball is going to be a really fun basketball week. A lot of good teams are going to play each other in Las Vegas. There's a few good games on tonight. Kansas Duke play tonight, and
That'll be a
Michigan
good
State,
game.
Kentucky play tonight. So a few good games that are going to happen again tonight, but next week's when things will really start to amp up.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we're recording this on Tuesday, and we're getting it out to you guys Wednesday. So by the time you're listening to this, those games would have happened last night.
Yeah. So that's usually what we try to do is record on a Tuesday, get it out on Wednesday. Sometimes that doesn't always happen. Me and Joe also have busy schedules going on, so sometimes we might be recording on a Wednesday, releasing on a Thursday. Sometimes it might be a Monday, releasing on a Wednesday. You never know. But we try to keep it the Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, we're trying to keep
Tuesday, release Wednesday, but sometimes it just can't happen.
Yeah, we're trying to get a consistent schedule going for us and for you guys. So just bear with us, we try to get it out in a decent amount of time.
Yeah. So that's all I got for college basketball this week. Joe, you want to hop into the NFL?
Yeah, let's transition to some NFL. I think one of the best games this week was the Bills versus the Buccaneers. That was just an offensive show-out, 44-32. Bills won. Josh Allen, man. I mean, especially after coming off of a terrible loss against Miami last week, he comes in and he puts the team on his back. He had 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns, which is just insane. And that's not even the first time he's done that. That's the second time he's done that in his career, which I believe there's only one other player who's ever done that. So, I mean, props to him. He showed out when he needed to, especially against a tough Bucs team, because the Buccaneers are no pushovers. And Baker Mayfield played his ass off, and it just came up to really who's had the better defense. And Bills' defense held up a little bit more than the Buccaneers. And Baker Mayfield was trying to do all he could, but it just wasn't enough for that team. I don't know if you caught any of that game, but it was really fun to watch.
I wasn't able to catch any of that game, but I just seeing the box score and everything else of what had happened, it looked like Josh Allen was doing Josh Allen things, what we're usually used to seeing out of Josh Allen. So from that standpoint, it looked pretty good.
Yeah. And talking about decent performances, my Steelers this week beat the Bengals. I believe it was 34-12. I believe the score was. Started off that game really slow. And then I don't know if it was the second quarter or the third quarter. I wasn't able to watch that game, but I was trying to keep up with it. Aaron Rodgers went out with a wrist injury. Sounds like he will be back next week.
Maybe it's possible.
Possibly, yes.
He has no really. He's week to week or day to day.
Yeah,
is what they would say.
We'll see, but when he went out, I was a little. I didn't know how I felt.
You had mixed feelings?
I had very mixed feelings. Obviously, we pulled away in that game from our defense. We had a pick six, and we also had a fumble recovery touchdown.
Helped.
Yes, and that's usually our saving grace is our defenses and our kicking. Rodgers went out. Rudolph came in. He played pretty solid. I mean, we've had Rudolph before as our starting quarterback for a whole season, so I think we can trust him going into a game, but I honestly would have really loved to see Will Howard out there. And, I know it's tough because you're going up against a division rival. But at least give him a couple of snaps. See what he looks like. There's obviously got to be a reason he's still on the team. There's got to be a reason, they picked him up for a reason. And I just want to see him play just a little bit. And I get, this first year is very crucial in learning for some of these younger quarterbacks. They're really just trying to get the grasp of the pace and everything with that with the game, but I mean, there's no better experience than actually being out on that field in front of tens of thousands of fans, and millions watching from home. There's nothing better than that setting for them to learn in. And you see quarterbacks either make or break that moment. And I don't know if Will Howard is one of those guys or not. He was very overlooked in the draft. I was looking forward to him being on this team, and then I found out Aaron Rodgers was coming to the Steelers, and I was like, okay, he's going to get moved to the third string. I see a lot of people saying they were surprised he's not the second string. He's not the backup, but Mason Rudolph, he's been on our team before. He's kind of like the Steelers backup, and I know Tomlin's not going to put a rookie Will Howard in front of Mason Rudolph, who he knows and trusts.
Right.
But overall, yeah, our defense saved that game. But Rodgers, it'd be interesting to see if he didn't come back next game, because then we would have to deal with we'd have to see Rudolph. And, you never know. They might throw Will Howard in if Rudolph's playing a full game. I don't know. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long he's out for, how serious his injury is. But, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then another thing I was going to touch on, I'm not going to talk about the Cardinals every week because, quite frankly, they're just not worth talking about every week. They're not good enough to be, recognized every week, and we continue to look really bad, do really bad things. Jacoby Brissett broke a record this week, which was cool, an NFL record. 47 completions in a game. I thought that was cool. That he was able to do that in a Cardinals uniform. But one thing I wanted to say is I think it's time, we're getting pretty close to time, that we need to make a coaching change on this team. And I'm not necessarily saying the head coach. I'm saying offensive coordinator for sure. Drew Petzing, at this point, has just not been able to get it done. And a lot of the blame a long time was on Kyler Murray. That the Cardinals were losing. It's Kyler Murray's fault. Well, Kyler Murray hasn't been in, and we're not winning. We're getting beat just as bad, if not worse. Jacoby Brissett's doing everything he can. I don't think it's all his fault. Just like I don't think that it's all of Kyler Murray's fault. But I really think the Cardinals are going to go a different direction this year. I think they're going to get rid of Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be a free agent, or they're going to try to trade something for him. And I think at that point you just go ahead and you wipe out the offensive coordinator with it, and you start fresh on that offensive side. New quarterback, new offensive coordinator, and the defense coordinator I think is getting close. Our defense has some times where it looks really good, and then has times where we look really bad. So maybe you assess him for a few more games, but to me, I've seen enough out of our offensive coordinator in the last 2-3 years to say that he probably needs to make a change at that spot. So just wanted to throw that in there. I think they need to make a change in that regard. We're sitting at 3-7. Still not the worst record in the league. I think if you're looking for a punishment for anybody this weekend, the Browns and the Raiders play each other. They're both 2-8. They play each other this weekend. If you're looking to punish anybody, make them watch that game. That's going to be a horrible game.
Oh, yeah.
And, but yeah, so at this point, we're looking for a draft pick again, and just keep trying to rebuild on this team because we have a lot of spots that we need, somebody to come in at. I don't know if drafting a quarterback's what we're going to do if we do get rid of Kyler Murray, or, you just kind of go a bridge quarterback route, get a veteran, or somebody who's been in the league for a while, and, wait for a quarterback that you would like to come available in the draft. But, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting with the Cardinals. It's time to make some changes.
Yeah, it is. And, yeah, like you said, just after a few years, obviously something's not working. I don't know if it's Kyler Murray. I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator. I don't know what it is. but just something needs changed. There needs to be a new page turned, new leaf, start fresh, and maybe getting rid of both of them is a better option. I mean, obviously Kyler Murray's a really good quarterback, and I just don't know if the Cardinals system is for him. But I do think there's a system out here where he can thrive. It just might not be the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And so, with your draft pick, you're going to have to... I don't know if you are going to pick up a good quarterback. I don't know how great this quarterback draft class is going to be or how promising it will be. But, you just got to hope for the best and just see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. So I think the Cardinals need to make a change somewhere along the line, and I think it needs to start somewhere with in that area. So that's about all I have for the NFL.
Yeah, there's not really anything I have either.
Alrighty.
So I think it's safe to move into our second to last segment.
Joe's Triple Threat.
Yep, Joe's Triple Threat, sponsored by Earl's Doghouse. Good beer and great fun. Just watch out for the manager, Earl.
Just watch out for Earl. We were out at Earl's last Friday night. We were out at Earl's. The owner, Earl, had us out, for some drinks and some food.
Yeah.
Really good food, really good drinks, and, he was a good host that night. He was a great host.
He was. He kind of stunk a little bit.
Yeah, you'll have that though. I mean, I don't know how often he.
He bathes. Apparently, I heard from the owner that he was rolling around with some possums.
Yeah.
So
doesn't he have like some sort of lump on his butthole now or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
He has like some lump on his butt or something. So
yeah,
maybe cut the guy a little slack.
He's got a lumpy ass. I mean,
you
can't really do anything about that. Maybe try some ointment. I don't know. But yeah, he was rolling around with some possums, and then he sat in my lap for a good portion of the night.
He was putting his butt tumor right on you.
Yeah, he was putting his butt tumor on me, trying to kiss me. It was a little interesting, but got some free food, free drinks out of it.
That's how Earl is, though.
Exactly.
If you know Earl, he doesn't mean any harm by it. He just wants to have a good time.
Yeah, he does. He just wants to get to know you, and you can't slack him for that.
Yeah. Yep. Earl had us out. It was a great time. Getting to see our sponsors, and hang out with our sponsors. So that was a good time.
Yeah, great people.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Earl. You're the guy.
Yes.
We'll be back.
Exactly.
So, Joe, what do you got this week?
All right, this week, I got a college basketball game, and I got 2 NFL games. No college football this week. Again, yeah. There's just not a whole lot of games that I'm interested in, this week. But for college basketball, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Iowa State versus St. John's. First real test for Iowa State. I don't really do well usually betting against Iowa State, or betting for Iowa State, but I think Iowa State's going to win this.
Oh, man, Joe, you just gave us the kiss of death.
I hope not. I really hope not. I'm crossing my fingers,
Joe,
crossing
if they lose
my
this
toes.
game, you're not allowed to bet on Iowa State the rest of the year.
I can do that. For the rest of this podcast, for the rest of the whole podcast, for as long as it lives, I will
You're
not.
no longer allowed to bet on Iowa State.
In any sport. No basketball, no football, no wrestling.
This is your
no
one
swimming,
chance right here, Joe.
No Iowa State water polo, nothing.
This is your one chance.
Yeah, so I'm taking Iowa State in that. I think we're just in a really good rhythm. I think we've actually started to find our groove a little bit. The freshmen are starting to.
Well, we're playing like a team.
We are, and we need to keep playing like that. We don't need to play hero ball, and we were rebounding a lot better in the Stonehill game.
Lipsy continues to look good.
Lipsy's still looking good. He was looking healthy.
23 points last night. 23 points out of Jefferson last night.
Yeah,
so.
And 9 rebounds out of Jefferson.
Yeah,
I mean, he was using his body.
Really close to a double-double.
Yeah, really close. Momcilovic still wasn't able to get it going as much, but
I think
he's gonna
16.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, but there were some shots that weren't falling for him. He'll have those games though. I expect that out of him. He'll have a really good game. Sometimes he'll have a decent game, or he'll have a really bad game. So,
yep.
Just something out of him. If he can be really consistent, then I think we can elevate to that next level. So we'll see with that. But our freshman looked really good. Killian Tour had a lot better scoring game. He has. I think he's found his touch around the rim a little bit better. It's just overall looking pretty good. I think we're having good momentum going into this game. St. John's hasn't been looking the greatest this year so far. They took that loss to Alabama, and that kind of set them back a little bit. But this is the real test for Iowa State, if they're actually a team that you can count on this year or not.
Yep, first real test, yep.
And then in the NFL, division game, Vikings, Packers. Packers are 6.5-point favorites. Now, in the last week, the Packers, or not last week, I can't remember. They had some injuries. Jordan Love
just this last week.
Yeah, last week. Got banged up a little bit. Josh Jacobs went out.
Yep.
Tucker Kraft's still out. He'll be out for the season. They just had a lot of injuries, and they just haven't been looking great the past few games. Vikings, Justin Jefferson looks very frustrated on that offense. It's kind of similar to what was going on with A.J. Brown, in my opinion. It just seems like they're not really targeting him very much. And watching the games, Justin Jefferson's open, but they're just not really throwing the ball to him. They're not even looking his way. I don't know if J.J. McCarthy just feels better throwing to Jordan Addison or someone like that, but just hasn't been working. But I think the Vikings, with the Packers downsets, I don't think Jordan Love's still completely healthy. I don't know if Josh Jacobs will be back or not yet. I haven't really heard much.
It doesn't sound like Josh Jacobs is going to be back. I think Jordan Love is going to play.
So that's not having Josh Jacobs is a big hit to that offense. But I think the Vikings are going to take this. I think it'll be close, but I think they'll end up pulling out the win. Then for my third game, Chiefs are yet again in it, and they're going up against the Colts. Tough matchup, but the Chiefs are at home. Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites in this game. Now, I am going to yet again not believe in the Chiefs this week. I think the Colts are going to take it. I don't think the Chiefs will have an answer for Jonathan Taylor. Chiefs defense looked pretty good against the Broncos, but I think the Colts offense is just a little bit more experienced. I think they work better together a little bit more as a unit, and I think the Colts are going to squeeze it out. So that's my triple threat this week: Iowa State, Vikings, Colts. Hopefully I can go 3-0. I've been looking really good so far this season. I'm at, I believe, 13-5 overall. So not too shabby.
Alrighty. Well, that was Joe's Triple Threat, brought to you by Earl's Doghouse.
Yep, and now heading into our last segment for the pod, fantasy football. Nate, you and I both pulled out a win this week.
Yeah, improbable wins too, I would say.
Yeah.
I beat the number one in the league once again.
Your wife.
My wife. And
she was not very happy.
Yeah, she was not very happy. Her team laid a total egg this week. They scored like 61 points total. Yeah. Her team was horrible. Anybody could have beaten her this week. And the Chiefs could have beaten her this week.
Yeah, they could have.
So she scored 61 points, and I scored 134. My team looked good for the most part, except for Lamar Jackson. Well, except for the AFC North. If I didn't have the AFC North on my fantasy football team, I would be light years ahead of where I'm at. Lamar Jackson and then DK Metcalf and Jalen Warren all did not play very well. Tenero McMillan I had sit on my bench with 33. That one kind of hurt.
Yeah, I saw that.
But that's kind of really the first one he's went majorly off. He's had a few 20-point games, but never got into the 30s. But good for him. Travis Kelce on my bench with 24.1. At this point, I'm just holding him hostage so nobody else can pick him up at the tight end spot.
Yeah, and I saw you picked up Matthew Stafford and had hit.
Well, I said I got to bring in a veteran
Yeah,
to my team.
that who you brought in.
I'm bringing in Matthew Stafford, and it worked. This was my first week having Matthew Stafford, and it worked. We won. So I'm a full believer in bringing in a locker room guy, bringing in a veteran to put on this team, and it's him. So
Yeah.
it was a good week for me. I got the win as far as that goes, and it keeps my playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, it does. I won against Ariana this week. I scored the most points out of everybody this week in fantasy for this week. So Josh Allen, it was a big part of that, scored me 42 points with his 3 passing and 3 rushing touchdowns. I was really nervous, especially after his bad loss to Miami. And I was lucky I pulled out that game last week too. But, yeah, there wasn't anybody who really did a ton on my team. CD kind of secured my win last night. I was a little nervous when Jake Ferguson got that touchdown because Ariana is Jake Ferguson and had Ashton Janty. You don't know how he's going to play. Usually he's very inconsistent. So you could either have a really dominant game and score like 30 or have like 5.
Well, she should have went with James Cook. Putting James Cook on your bench should be a federal offense.
It should be. I would I would switch those two. I would keep James Cook and take Janty out, in my opinion. At least just this season. Maybe next season Janty gets a little bit more used to the NFL, plays a little bit better. But he's also on the Raiders, so you can't. I don't know how much better you can really play. So I'm just glad I pulled out a win. That's my 3rd straight win. I also had a veteran on my team. I traded DeAndre Swift a couple weeks ago from the Bears to Maddie. I think it was the week I faced her. And I got Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, I don't think I'll start him these upcoming weeks, but he's on my bench. He gives my guys a pep talk, gets them ready. So I'm on a 3-game winning streak. Hopefully I can keep that alive. I face your wife, Kate, this week. I'm a little nervous. I hope her team can put up 61 points again. But chances of that are very low.
Well, she had everybody on a bye week last week.
She did.
She had 5 of her usual starters on a bye week, so that helped me out a ton.
It did.
In that spot.
You got lucky.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Another funny thing too is Maddie is 2-9 on the season, but her 2 wins are against Sean.
Yeah.
So that's
both
big.
her wins are against Sean.
Now us 3, me, you, and Sean, are tied 6-5 in the league
for 2nd place.
Ariana is now 5-6. So now I got pushed into the playoff conversation.
Kate clinched the playoff.
She did.
A playoff spot today, so she's guaranteed to be in.
Yep, she is.
And then Sean's at an 85% chance. I'm at an 83. You're at a 78. Ariana's at a 53.
I still am nervous about that. I think. Do you play Maddie this week?
I play this week.
Or do you play?
Yes, I play Maddie and then you.
I'm really hoping.
We're going to come down to the last game.
It will. It will. I personally think if Sean beats Ariana this week and I can beat Kate, then it'll secure our spots. Me beating Ariana really helped.
It would really help if Ariana gets beat again. Because that's week. Almost all but going to push her out.
Yeah, it will.
Of the playoffs.
It will. It's going to be close. It's a tight race. And I think we already talked about it a little bit. If one of us, if we both make the playoffs, if one of us gets knocked out, we got to help the other one out. Try to push each other towards the victory.
Yeah, we're going to stack our teams.
Yeah, we're going to stack our teams against Sean or Kate, whoever's in there.
Yeah. Yep.
And if it's just us two, have a fun game, Yep. Whoever wins gets dinner. So
I hate how we have to do 2 weeks of playing.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
I think it's just because we have a smaller group. Because in my other league, it's a 12-man league, and they play through 14 weeks, not 13 weeks. So one of those.
Well, what really sucks is the first week of our playoffs, Christian McCaffrey's going to be on a bye week. What the hell is up with that?
Yeah, that's really screwing you.
What the hell? If I'm in the playoffs, the very first round, I have to play without Christian McCaffrey.
That's not fair at all for you.
What the hell?
And
that is not.
You know
I
what?
might as well just forfeit that week. That he is my team.
He is. He's your best performer.
Yeah, he's the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, you know, if you end up making the championship and I'm knocked out, I'll give you Josh Allen. You can have Josh Allen and Christian McCaffrey
And Jahmyr Gibbs.
I'll give you Jahmyr Gibbs.
CeeDee Lamb.
I'll give you CeeDee Lamb. That'll be a dangerous one. And then if vice versa, you got to give me Christian McCaffrey and, you know,
I don't know who else you'd want.
I don't know.
Trey McBride.
Yeah, Trey McBride. That'd be big. So it'd be whoever's fate. They better hope.
Saquon. I don't know if he's gonna.
I don't know.
You know,
It depends on who they go up against.
Yeah.
But
I'm thinking about coming out with a 2 tight end look.
really,
Yeah, because you can play 2 tight ends.
yeah, you can.
And I have McBride and Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey put up 24 points. If McBride could put up 30, every week, I think I might go with a 2 tight end look.
Yeah,
With a 2 tight end offense.
I don't know if Marvin's going to be out for next week or not. He might be. He could be.
Yeah, he could be. They don't really know yet.
So, if Trey McBride might be someone to look at it, keeping that tight end and moving Travis Kelce in.
Yeah, I think I might go with a 2 tight end league.
Yeah, you might have to.
I might put Travis Kelce in the flex, and we're going to run the power eye.
Yeah, I also want to say, Derrick Henry actually had a pretty solid game for me this week. He had 20 points.
Yeah,
pretty solid.
Lamar Jackson was not at all. He scored like 4 points.
For some reason, there's a trend ever since the first week where Derrick Henry scored. I believe it was like 29 or 30 or something like that. Everyone, Nate, Kate, and Maddie decided, if Derrick Henry scores, we get to punch Joe.
Well, I don't.
Well,
I've never hit you, Joe.
Okay,
I think we all decide that Maddie gets to hit you. Maddie.
No, because Kate hit me once.
Well, that's Kate.
Yeah.
I don't hit you, Joe.
Yeah.
I just tell Maddie to do it for me.
Oh, yeah. She hit me, so.
Yeah. Well, you deserve it.
Well,
let Derrick Henry score, so you get hit.
It's not even like Derrick Henry. I'm just glad you didn't say the same thing about Josh Allen.
You didn't get smacked that much this year.
No, I did not. It was just the first game, and he's had only 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, we're gonna make it a Josh Allen thing now.
Oh no!
Every time Josh Allen throws a touchdown or runs for a touchdown,
nope.
You get smacked.
maybe next
season,
next fantasy season we might do that, but not this fantasy season. It's not gonna happen. But all right, I think that's all for this week. We had a pretty good amount of stuff to talk about.
Yep.
And as we get closer to the fantasy football playoffs, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll get more fun.
Yeah, we'll see by next week. Hopefully, there might be the clear 4 who are going to be in it. Who knows? But well, everybody, thank you for listening. Leave a like, leave a comment, let us know what you think about the pod. Subscribe, and we would like to thank our sponsors again one last time. Just Toast, the toasting experts, best toast in the country, and Nate and Maddie can boxes. Great can boxes, not very good time management. And last but not least, it is not your fault. And last but not least, Earl's Doghouse. Thank you again, Earl, for having us over. We had some good pizza rolls. You're a great cook.
We had chicken wings. We
did have really good chicken wings.
Vienna sausage. Never doing that again.
yeah. Nate, real quick, just you want to tell them about your Vienna sausage experience?
No, I really don't. It was horrible. It was disgusting. If you ever have the opportunity to eat Vienna sausage,
or if you have, I'm sorry.
This is what you should do. You pick up the can, you open it, and you throw it in the garbage. Just the whole thing right in the garbage.
I would just say not even open it. Just toss it right in the garbage.
Yeah, either way. Don't do it. Earl had me try some Vienna sausage. Some of that shit was not good. Earl is a big fan of it. I am not. So
Earl's a fan of pretty much anything.
Yeah. No more Vienna sausages for me.
Yep, no more. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you all next week.